What's up, Arnulfo? Another episode of Caught Offsides, my man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I could be doing better though, but I'm doing all right.
This has to do with the America loss
A
last
little
night.
bit, more with the performance and the loss.
Yeah, the big Clasico Nacional, which was a topic of conversation throughout the days before the game. You know, a lot of people on social media, on TV, mentioning the fact that the Clásico Nacional is, in fact, America versus Chivas, as it is in the women's league.
Yeah.
And it caused obviously a lot of the fans from Monterrey, as in Rayadas and Tigres, to defend their teams online. So, tell me your thoughts about that. What are your take? What's your take on that?
I mean, I think I understand like the backlash from the Monterrey team or the fans from Monterrey teams. But I think by default it does fall as a Clásico Nacional because it's the institution. I mean, I don't think you're gonna find very many fans that are, oh well, I like Tigres Femenil, but for the guys I go for Toluca. I'm sure you'll find one or two out there. There's always something, but I think just because of that, it's the history. Obviously, two most dominant teams have been Tigres and Rayadas in the short term of the league. But even without that success, Chivas and America are always up there like in name, and because of the institution that they come from. So like I can understand it. People saying like maybe the bigger Clásico, right? Or the most intense Clásico is Tigres Rayadas right now. But it's going to be hard to tell fans who have been hearing that their team's Clásico versus, their rival is not the Nacional anymore or on that side.
And even the origin of like the story behind how it became the Clásico Nacional was, more of a television move, right? To like hype the game up back in
Yeah.
the 70s, 80s, I can't recall. And I just personally think that it should not mix over. I think it should just be called a Clásico. It should be called a Clásico Nacional or anything. Like I don't think it should be given that importance, because if one of the things that this league wants to do is obviously separate themselves in the sense of be their own brand, right? Obviously under the Mexican Federation for soccer, but be their own brand and really push the league in the way that they push the league to its fans in their own specific way. And I feel like for the most part, it has been like that way. And, some teams have invested a lot more time, energy, and money into their clubs. But I think that mixing that conversation is just, it really is not going to go anywhere. Like you're just literally trolling at this point. And I feel like even if the media, make a push behind it, I think it's more because of the team that they may be rooting for, that they may not be talking on, live television. But I don't know. I just don't think it's as important as people have made it out to be. And I also don't think it should be brought into the league. And at least that environment of pickiness of what it's an important game or it's not an important game. And just know that like they are important games and some are more important than others, but they don't have to be a topic of conversation of which one's better in terms of like
Well, I mean, I think it's
relevance.
marketing.
Yeah.
Marketing. I mean, that's what it is marketing. And I mean, and the fans are gonna fight because they like they like looking for things to get mad at and to start talking shit to each other on Twitter for some reason. So like I said, I agree with you. I have no problem if people don't want to say it's not the El Clásico Nacional. They want to give it to Tigres Rayadas. That's cool. Like I said, either way, like I'm a pretty logical fan. Most fans aren't. At least I think I'm logical. I don't know.
Yeah, I totally get you. Yeah, I feel that. I just think that again, I don't think is that should be given any relevance. But I mean, there's some things that I could say that Tigres and Rayadas game, probably adds a lot more. I think overall the talents it's higher on those two teams, position for by position, and I also think that in the games a lot more. But yesterday proved me wrong in a way was the back and forth. That was a really entertaining game, and so as we lead in talking about that, is that game was to me probably some of the best games that I've seen in the 4.5 years that the league has been around. Both teams were looking to score. Both had chances. One had more chances, throughout more lapses of the game. I think that America was a little more dominant the first half, but Chivas still held their own. But it was a great game, man. What are your thoughts? Obviously, I know you're pissed off. Your team didn't pull through, but tell me what were you thinking?
Man, I have a lot of thoughts on this. So first off, I think this game overall was lost because of the Englishman. I think he lost the game, and I'll get to that right now. The first half, I agree. Medico played probably were the better team, at least for the first 25 minutes. They had a bunch of opportunity to score. Their problem is they still can't score in the first half. And yeah, technically they did score, but it was on a penalty, and that penalty was a penalty. But had the ref not giving them that penalty, which we've seen it happen before, where they don't call it, they wouldn't have scored.
It was iffy too, man. It was. I feel like it could have gone either way. I think it was a penalty kick, and it was rightfully called. But
yeah, sure. Like I said, but it hadn't been not been called, it would have been, like, oh, well, that's 50-50. But I think that, that's the problem, man. You're not scoring. Now you're losing. That's your second loss of the season against one of the top 4 teams. You lost to Rayados 2-0. The same thing. You dominated the first half, but you couldn't score. And in the second half, they kept pressuring you, and then you ended up losing 2-0. These are the teams that you have to beat. It's fun as a fan to watch them rout Necaxa, 5-0 or whatever. But those teams, at the end of the day, they're not the teams that you need to beat. The teams that, well, you do need to beat them because you should beat them. But this game, they should have scored more. For sure.
Absolutely. I think throughout those lapses of the game, like I mentioned, America was more dominant. They looked like they were more, they had the chemistry down more on the field, that they were connecting more on more passes. And Katy, to me, was phenomenal in that first half. I think that she's upped her game since she left Tigres. She's doing things that she was maybe not shining with the Tigres club. And some of those things are like, taking corner kicks. I never once saw Katy Martinez take a corner kick at Tigres. And, they do have a lot of players that are great corner kick takers, like Eliana Mercado, Jackie Ovalle. But it was really, like, I'd seen it in a previous game, but like, I thought it was like a one-time thing. And then, like, now that I've seen it consistently, I was thrown off. But again, I think it has to do with her being more, she's participating more in the buildup of play. She's dropping into the midfield, connecting giving goes, one-touch passes. And I think that she was not able to show that at Tigres because she was the main point of attack, and everybody else built and worked to her in order for her to score the goals. Here, she's scoring goals like she scored on a PK with America, but she also has to do a lot with the buildup and connecting with her teammates, which I think she did very well the first half.
Yeah, no, I mean, she's probably was the best player for America for the whole game. There was, like, I feel like after they scored, they kind of took their foot off the gas a little bit. I thought, they let Chivas continue to grow going into the half. And I blame that on Craig, what's his name? Craig Harrington. He, I don't know, blanking on his name, but he had, Sarah playing on the left, and then you had Scarlett on the right, and he never switched them over, man. And Sarah was doing okay on the left, but Scarlett, I mean, she touched a handful of balls in the first half, and in the second half, she disappeared. He should have switched them over, because I feel like that affected the second half of the game, because his first sub should have been for Sarah, because, I mean, she couldn't walk, man. I know she hasn't played a lot, and that has something to do with it because of, the whole team's been inactive, the whole league. But she's getting her ass whooped, man. Like, every time, like, it's getting a little obvious now. It's someone else every time marking her, because they know they're going to get one free one before they get the card.
Do you think it's part of this? Do you think it's part of the plan, like the strategic plan going into the game?
I do. And I'm not saying the coach is telling them, hey, but I think they know enough, the players. I mean, It's like 4 different players, hit her hard and knock her down before someone gets a card. It's like, damn, man. It's like the whole tournament. You're being inactive, and then you start knotting up, and then she started cramping up.
Yeah,
Like,
no, she had a good game. I think she was, moving up on that left flank, and she was able to move freely with the ball and off the ball. But you're right, she was definitely a target. She's definitely easy to foul, and like you said, the first one's a freebie. The second one might be a yellow, but there were not enough yellows in that game for the fouls that happened. So the referee has to improve. I think eventually VAR will has to be implemented. I think that that's something that the league should try to implement as soon as possible. I think that the refs in the women's league could use the support and just another set of eyes, for all that's going on, especially when a league's so young.
yeah, man. But I mean, I don't even think it has to do. I mean, you got eyes. You got eyes, and the reputation she has. I mean, she's the most fouled player. So you have to protect her. And I'm not saying being biased towards America or their players, but I mean, she's getting hit hard and throughout the whole game. I mean, you got to protect her from injury. Long term. We're barely halfway through the season.
Yeah, but talk about the other team. The other team, man, Licha Cervantes, what a player.
Yeah. No, I
She
mean,
she's a killer, man. On 2 goals, and both of them were really good goals. A lot of good build up, a lot of good passing to get
that second one was nice. Was it Jaramillo?
Jaramillo
The
pass.
the pass, yeah. The first one I thought was on an error on man, I don't know if it was Kimberly or Yanelli that was going, but I mean the pass came from like 35 yards out. They should have
Yep.
been able to clear that. But I mean, to her credit, she got it. Was it off the chest and then one shot in?
Top corner. Yeah, I think that Chivas for the most part has been, kind of like a little underrated just because, they have Licha, but you take Licha out of that lineup and they're not as good. Like they're not present.
Yeah.
Or at least they'll put up a fight, but more on compact defense than actual development of build up and play. But yesterday's game, I think that they showed a lot of good chemistry, a lot of good passing, to where there was a lot of good flashes of good buildups, and they had their chances, man. I think, like I mentioned at the start of this, I think both of them were going at it, looking to score and win the game, which made it a lot of fun, very entertaining. So I think they did their job and giving us a product that we can say that we all enjoyed, and there was a lot of people there, which was really cool.
Almost
Almost
10,000.
almost 10,000 people. So, we talked about the scheduling and, how the scheduling could improve, but for being such a late game on a Sunday, people showed up. And so that's something to be proud of, and the league should be proud of.
Yeah. No, I mean, I mean, what I like about Chivas defense is there's 3 around you anytime you touch the ball. There's 3 players around you ready to defend. So that they can defend. I mean, they know what their plan is. They're gonna suffocate you up back, and then they're obviously the point of attack is to get to Licha. She's up to 10 goals now.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think they like I mentioned, they played a great game. They're young, they're speedy, they're fast. Good team. So, I mentioned to you, and you said the attendance. It got me thinking about, the face of the league, with the league growing so fast, and, that amount of people showing up to a game, and actually, like, demonstrating that it's not only Tigres and Rayadas fans who are showing up to these games. That was really cool to see. So with that, I ask you, who do you think the face of this league is? As it continues to improve, and the talent's going to obviously rise. Who is the face of the league right now that you can say with confidence, like, hey, it's our league, and we're all playing in it, or all the other teams are playing in it?
I think it's Kati. I think Kati just look. She just signed a deal. Got a big sponsorship deal, with Kavak, right? Kavak.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
she's easily marketable. Like, she's just, she's the goals, the championships, um, for the most part, everything that I've seen in videos and like interviews and like fan interactions, she's willing to engage. So she's, seems like she's got a positive attitude. So something that's contagious. So I think that people flock towards that.
Yeah, I mean, and like I guess just based on social media, she has like well almost half a million followers on Instagram, you know, and I think it's by far a lot like of of all the players. I don't think anyone comes close to her.
Yeah, and that's something that you and I have both talked about. She might not be the best player talent wise per se, but she's definitely the one that you everyone's most excited to watch play because everything that she stands for. So I tend to, or I would like to think that you're right. I think that she is the face of the league. Obviously there's other options that you can consider, like Stephanie Mayor, Rebecca Bernal, in terms of talent and new additions. Hopefully in the future, Mia Fisher can help with the rise of that. But I don't think talent and like markability or marketing the player. I don't think that no one comes close to Kati.
No, I don't. I think it's her, and then you can name a couple players, but they're not at her level. There might be
Not on the
some
same.
young players coming up, but not yet.
Yeah. So cool. We both agree. I think a lot of people would agree with that. But it's positive. It's cool. She's 24 years old. Her birthday was today.
Happy birthday, Kati.
Happy birthday for sure. 100 and what? 4 goals, 5 goals? Maybe
103.
103 goals.
103. Yeah.
So it's only going to continue to rise. She's got a long career ahead of her. So it's pretty cool to watch her as she continues to develop. So another game, man, that we had, that Tigres, speaking about Katis, her former team, Tigres played Toluca in probably one of the worst games that I've probably ever seen them play. Did you get a chance to watch it?
I did. I did. I caught some of both halves. Yeah, man. The first half was ugly. It was ugly. I didn't like the lineup. I didn't like Mayor being the up top. I thought they should have put Mia, and then when they did put Mia in the second half, she played I mean, they played better, and she like started making an impact right away with some of the passes that she did. On that second goal, I think she's the one that she hit the crossbar. I know before Elizondo shot it in.
Yeah, when she headed it in, yes, that was me. So, let's start with the lineup. So Medina has, and you and I have talked this a lot, is he has these three players on the attack, which are Stephanie Mayor, Uchenna Kanu, and Mia Fisher, but he's not willing to play with all three of them. And obviously, to some degree, it's understandable, right? Because you got to have balance with the attack and the defense. So I can see that, but I think that when you bring in two players of that caliber who easily either or could be the best player in the league based on their talent, and their ability, just with their physical ability that they both have, their speed, their way to impose on the defenders. So I think you have to somehow try in order to play them all three at the same time. And so obviously he demonstrated tonight that he was not willing to. So he went with Belen Cruz, Stephanie Mayor, Uchenna, and Jackie Ovalle, with Stephanie Mayor being the forward, but Belen Cruz got caught there back and forth. They were both rotating from the forward position to the false nine and playing behind the nine. So it wasn't good. There was no box presence and there was no box threat. Uchenna was doing really well as a right wing, which I think she can play, but I think Mia Fisher has to start. And you play Stephanie Mayor and you play Jackie and you roll it out, and that's the best players. But I also think that because the team's not doing so well, everybody doesn't look really good in terms of their form. So, you start off with an error from Ceci Santiago.
Oh yeah, 1 minute in, man. It's
well, not even a minute, dude. It was like 32 seconds, 33 seconds, something like that. Like you start the game with an error like that. It's an example and like of what's going on with the team. Like there's just a lot of uncertainty, hesitant play, when they're passing. Like it's just some of the passes that they're normally accustomed to making have been bad, like bad played pass or a pass played out of bounds. That happened a lot tonight, and I think that it comes down to the tactical approach, the unwillingness to rotate players or change players out who are not in their best form. And I think that we're seeing that. I think that he's just respecting his players and what the players have given him from the past, but they haven't enough depth on that bench in order to play other players who could potentially step up.
Yeah, I mean, we talked earlier, or you talked earlier about maybe some players are leaving and you need some fresh players. Maybe you need a fresh coach.
Yeah, well, that would make the most sense, I think.
Yeah.
And it's nothing because it's not that he's a bad coach. I just think that it's complacency. Like, you get tired of
Need a new voice.
New voice, new methods of training, anything that can get the players focused and to buy in, to be motivated to seek another championship. They've won a lot. So, that can also turn into complacency, and with the coach who's not really giving everyone a shot. Think about how Fer Elizondo feels. She got subbed again in like the 78th, 79th minute.
Scored again.
She scored. And think about how she feels. Like, she's not getting playing time. She's scoring goals. She's the most effective player in the league, scoring every 18 minutes, 19 minutes.
Yeah, I had seen something like that. Yeah, they're like under 20. So it's crazy.
So I think that you need a fresh mind, some new methods, like I mentioned. So hopefully, they pick it up and Tigres is able to establish that team-oriented style of play where everybody's getting involved, everybody's touching the ball, moving. But I think that Medina has to look himself in the mirror and say, hey, am I playing my best players at the moment? Am I using my roster to the best of my ability by giving other players a shot? Hannah Gutierrez had an excellent U20 World Cup. No side of her tonight. Fer Elizondo subbed in late. Nayeli Rangel, don't know where she was.
MIA, man.
Tweeting though.
Yeah.
Throughout the game.
Yeah, so, but I don't know if she's hurt or I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, she's not maybe on her Medina's good side. So I don't know, man. I think that the team is going through some weird funk, that starts with the coaching staff and then all the way down to the players. I think it's contagious. You can definitely tell they're not in sync. So even the defense normally looks very stable, very confident, and they don't look good in the back either. They've given up 9 goals, and I think that they gave up 11 all last season.
And maybe when do they play? I know they play America last game of the season. When do they play Rayadas and Chivas? Because maybe they need to a wake me up, maybe they're just kind of trying to cruise through the lesser competition.
It's still a little ways away. They've already played Chivas. They tied Chivas, but Rayadas is still away, and then obviously America still ways away. But I think that if you can't get through these easy games, like Toluca should have been an easy dub.
Yeah,
and they got better in the second half with Mia Fisher coming in for Belen, who didn't have a good game. But I think that outside of that sub, there was not, the midfield is not as dynamic as it used to be. Seems like Mercado and Nancy Antonio are not in rhythm. They're a little slow, sluggish. So there was no sub to make that better or attempt to switch it up and maybe bring in Hannah to play on the outside, slide in Mayor to play a little bit more of a. There was nothing to change the game. The adjustments were not made, and you didn't create enough chances to score, with clarity the goals that you needed. So you give up a late tie goal after you come back from winning. I'm sorry, from losing 1-0.
Man, I saw someone on Twitter ask this, and I can't remember who it was. Was Toluca the first team in the league, in the women's league, to score in the first minute and the last minute?
Oh man, I don't know. Damn,
that's a good trivia right there, man.
Yeah. Absolutely. Wow, I didn't even think about that. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so a lot of things have to change for Tigres to get back on the train of good soccer, good championship style soccer. But it could be the end of a good run. I think that, like we mentioned, a new fresh set of eyes could help, but I think that there's still time to work things out. And
yeah, we're only halfway through. We got to make up a game now. So
yeah, The problem is though is that Rayadas are basically unstoppable, and
Yeah.
with Tigres, struggling, and America not able to beat, two good teams, and Chivas, just kind of like slowly, or not slowly, I'm sorry, slightly under the other three teams who have more of the star power. It just seems like Rayadas are clearly the favorites to win it all. And like I mentioned to you in our last recording, maybe not even losing a game the rest of
Yeah,
the
I don't
season.
think they will. I don't think they will. What 5-2 they ended up winning?
Tonight, yep,
Yeah,
against
5-2.
Necaxa.
Yeah, they ended up getting the late one to make it to make it two. But yeah, man, and all their players are playing great. All their players are scoring. Bernal had another goal with the penalty. I think she has like 5 goals now, 6 goals of the defense.
Yeah, and she leads the league in league history. She's the leading scorer in league
Yeah.
history for defenders.
Yeah, I know Birkenroad had another goal. And she almost had two, like right back to
Back to
back.
back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, everybody's in good form there. And Eva Espejo, the coach that they brought in to replace Tito Becerra, has done a great job. She was at Pachuca. She had some good, track record of, being a good coach. And once she got to Rayada, she had, all this talent, and she just has to make it work. And that's what she's been doing.
Yeah, I mean, and well, she's also, I mean, she left Pachuca pretty well off too, though. They're not bad either. So
Yeah.
definitely left their mark there.
So clear cut, give them the title already, right?
Nah.
You don't think
Nah.
so? You don't
No.
think so? You think your team? You think America still has a shot at beating them?
Yeah. Like I told you, I've told you a couple times, I believe the other 7 teams are competing for who's going to be on the other side of that marquee once the final gets here. Because I do believe it will be Rayadas and to be determined. And I
Yeah,
still believe, damn it, I still believe.
and I think that seeding is going to be really important. How they finish in the table.
Yeah, that's what upset me the most. I'm like, man, if you not wasted all those opportunities in the first half and you would have at least tied, it would have been all right.
It seems like that number 2 spot. It's like the most
Yeah.
desirable. Because
Mm-hmm.
I don't
You
think
don't want to
anybody
play
Rayadas
Rayadas too early. Yeah, man.
until the final. Yeah, that makes sense. It's crazy how halfway through the season, like we can already predict, the one team that's definitely going to be there, and they've earned it. They've
Hey,
earned
man, but
it.
you never know. They might burn out. It's happened to plenty of teams on the
Yeah,
men's side. Super leader, gets knocked out the first round. So,
Tigres did that to Monterrey in the 2017 final.
hey, there you go. So, I mean, it can happen. I don't think it will, but there's still hope.
Yeah, absolutely. But good showing of games, man. I think that it was a good, comeback of the league, or making its comeback from the pause. Obviously, one game to be made up, but overall, good quality games, and looking forward to the next round of games, which we have, right back at it
Starting
in the middle,
Wednesday.
starting Wednesday,
Yep.
which is 2 days from now when we're recording this. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. Is there anything that stuck out to you from this week's play?
Nah, just to me, stuck out. It's been sticking out to me the whole season is the aggression off on Sarah Lubert, and specifically, and then also the moves or the lack of moves, for America in that game. I feel they would have had a better shot had they made some moves earlier. But
Here's mine, and you might not like it, and it's a little tough to say because I'm a fan of Kati, but I think that what I'm taking away from this week play and these games is that Licha Cervantes is the best forward in the Mexican League.
yeah, she's definitely the most complete. Yeah, for sure.
Dude, and she, like, the one thing that I thought that she didn't have was speed, and she's got a little speed in her. She beat one of the defenders. She kind of stumbled towards the end, and she didn't get good contact, and I think she kind of got pushed a little bit. But she surprised me, and left foot, right foot. She's got back to the her back to the goal.
Yeah.
She's lethal. So I think that's what I'm taking out of this week's play. I think that she's definitely the lone striker in the sense of like being the best. I think that
Yeah,
Capi's,
she's the overall best, I would say, for sure, the most complete
yeah, and and
and
and even
goals.
and I wouldn't even say she's the best player. I still think that there's other players who are better. But
Yeah,
at what she does at scoring, which is scoring goals, she's the best. So
yeah, no, I'd agree with you on that one.
I'm a fan of her game, or became more of a fan of her game. So I'm looking forward to watching her play. Dude, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for taking the time to do this.
No problem, man. No
And
problem.
let's get back to it again next week. And hopefully we got a lot of good showings of games.
Yeah, hopefully we're both back on the winning side.
Absolutely. That would be nice.